People notice it when someone reacts too sharply to mild disagreement. They describe it as arrogance, insecurity, or unnecessary hostility. Later, the same tension appears during an ordinary moment at home. A comment lands wrong, silence hardens, something small suddenly feels dangerous. What seems excessive often hides something far older, waiting beneath awareness. The behavior commonly labeled fragile ego rarely announces itself directly. It arrives disguised as confidence, control, sarcasm, or righteous certainty protecting something unseen. In public language, it is called toxic, narcissistic, defensive, difficult, words that flatten a complex psychological maneuver into a moral judgment. Psychology approaches it differently, not as a character flaw, but as a protective adaptation learned under pressure. What appears inflated on the surface is often compensatory beneath, a structure built to prevent collapse rather than dominate others. Carl Jung observed that the psyche builds masks where vulnerability once felt dangerous, not to deceive, but to survive repeated threat. This reframing matters, because survival strategies persist long after the original danger disappears. A colleague interrupts every meeting, correcting minor details, tightening their jaw when challenged. The room senses tension before words fully land. From the outside, it looks like ego. Inside, it often feels like standing near a ledge. Another scene unfolds at a family dinner. A harmless joke sparks disproportionate anger. Chairs scrape. Conversation fractures. Nobody mentions the fear underneath. Observers focus on volume and tone, rarely noticing how quickly safety vanished internally. These reactions happen faster than conscious thought, driven by subcortical alarms rather than deliberate choice. The nervous system treats certain social cues as existential threats, even when no real danger exists. Evolutionary psychologists suggest that social exclusion once meant death, so the brain learned to defend status aggressively. That ancient logic still operates, even inside modern offices and living rooms. A partner withdraws affection after mild criticism, posture stiffens, eyes avert. The room fills with distance that feels strangely rehearsed. The withdrawal is not indifference, it is containment, a way to minimize exposure when self-image feels unstable. Calling this fragility misunderstands its function, because the system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. It is not weakness in the conventional sense, but rigidity born from needing certainty to feel safe. Behavioral scientist B.F. Skinner noted that reinforced responses become automatic, especially when they successfully reduce discomfort. If defensiveness once prevented shame or rejection, the brain keeps deploying it, even when circumstances change. In everyday life, this reads as intolerance, entitlement, or volatility, yet internally it feels like maintenance. A driver reacts explosively to a minor traffic delay, heart racing, face flushing. The outburst burns energy but restores a sense of control. For a moment, the world feels predictable again. Such moments reveal that the behavior is regulating something internal, not communicating something external. Most people first recognize this pattern in others because seeing it externally is safer than sensing it internally. The discomfort arises when familiar scenes begin echoing closer to home. Recognition does not mean blame. It signals proximity to an underlying mechanism. The label fragile ego describes a pattern, not a person, a recurring defensive choreography rather than an identity. Understanding this shifts the question from why someone is difficult to what threat the system is responding to. That threat was learned somewhere specific, under conditions rarely remembered consciously. Some people will recognize this immediately and sense that the origin lies deeper than personality alone. If you're still watching, you probably notice things most people miss. You question behavior. You look beneath the surface. If that sounds like you, subscribe. This channel was made for minds like yours. Long before language explained behavior, the nervous system learned through sensation, reward, and threat. What later looks like ego was once a child's answer to unpredictability. The brain does not distinguish emotional danger from physical danger during early development. A raised voice, withdrawn affection, or ridicule registers as threat, shaping future responses automatically. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl described how meaning is constructed even in suffering. The mind adapts to endure. For some children, maintaining an image became the meaning that ensured survival. A classroom scene unfolds quietly. A mistake on the board, laughter ripples. The teacher corrects sharply. Heat floods the chest. The child learns that exposure equals pain. Invisibility or dominance feels safer. Neural pathways strengthen around avoiding that sensation at all costs. Over time, the brain associates self-worth with performance, control, or superiority. Evolutionary psychology suggests young humans depended entirely on group acceptance. Anything threatening belonging triggered deep alarm circuits. When caregivers were inconsistent, critical, or emotionally unavailable, the child adapted by building armor. That armor was not chosen consciously. It emerged through repetition. Another snapshot appears at home. Affection arrives conditionally. Praise follows achievement. Silence follows vulnerability. The nervous system records the pattern without words. To be valued, one must not appear weak. This belief embeds itself beneath conscious memory. Later in life, the belief activates automatically during challenge. The adult no longer remembers the original lesson, only the urgency. A teenager discovers that confidence masks uncertainty effectively. Peers respond with admiration instead of scrutiny. The brain receives relief. Reinforcement strengthens. Behavioral loops form quietly. What works gets repeated. Carl Jung spoke of complexes, emotional clusters formed around early experiences, activated without warning. The ego becomes organized around protecting these sensitive nodes. Another micro scene emerges. A parent dismisses emotions with logic, urging toughness, discouraging tears. The child internalizes the rule that feelings are liabilities. Suppressing them becomes survival. Later, suppression hardens into defensiveness. The origin is rarely a single trauma. More often it is cumulative, small invalidations stacking silently. Each teaches the nervous system that openness invites pain. So the psyche builds distance, posture, certainty. Fear hides beneath competence. Shame hides beneath anger. Evolution favors systems that reduce threat efficiently. The fragile ego is efficient. It scans for signals of disrespect or loss of status. When detected, it responds instantly. The speed feels like instinct because it is. A workplace evaluation triggers disproportionate tension, palms sweat, jaw tightens, childhood circuits fire. The adult body relives an old hierarchy. The brain cannot tell time under stress. Social learning reinforces this further. Cultures that reward dominance amplify defensive adaptations. Children observe which behaviors earn safety. They copy what works. Another brief scene. Siblings compete for attention. Praise is scarce, comparison constant. One child learns to outperform. Another learns to belittle. Both seek security differently. Both strategies originate from fear of disappearance. The fragile ego is not born from vanity. It grows from vigilance. It watches constantly for signs of threat. This vigilance exhausts the system, yet abandoning it feels dangerous, because once it was. Neuroscience shows that early emotional learning shapes threat perception permanently. Later reasoning rarely overrides it fully. That is why insight alone rarely dissolves these patterns. They operate beneath conscious narrative. A partner's neutral tone can activate ancient alarms. The reaction feels justified internally. Externally, it seems excessive. The gap between inner urgency and outer context creates misunderstanding. Most people never trace the reaction backward far enough. They stop at personality explanations. But personality is the surface arrangement of deeper adaptations. Understanding origin reframes blame into function. The system learned to survive, not to harm. Still, survival strategies do not remain private. They shape every interaction. They leak into tone, posture, assumptions. They create ripples in social space. Those ripples are where others first notice. The origin stays hidden, but the expression does not. How this internal defense manifests socially is where recognition becomes unavoidable. Once internal defenses solidify, they begin shaping social reality quietly. They emerge not as intentions, but as reflexes enacted in ordinary interactions. Most people encounter these patterns through others first. The behavior feels external, intrusive, disruptive, before it ever feels familiar. A conversation between friends turns tense after a casual correction, smiles tighten, humor drains, an invisible boundary snaps into place. The moment passes, but something fragile has been exposed. In friendships, The pattern often appears as hypersensitivity masked by certainty. Disagreement is received as disrespect. Difference is interpreted as threat. A small challenge invites disproportionate withdrawal or attack. Another scene unfolds between partners. One expresses a need, the other hears accusation. Posture shifts. Defensiveness fills the room instantly. What was intimacy becomes negotiation. Emotional closeness suddenly feels unsafe. Family systems often normalize this expression. Generations pass down unspoken rules about strength and vulnerability. A parent dismisses feedback from an adult child, voice sharpens, authority invoked, dialogue collapses into hierarchy. The pattern predates the relationship. It is merely reactivated within it. Workplaces provide especially fertile ground. Status, evaluation, and comparison trigger ancient alarms efficiently. A manager reacts harshly to mild critique, asserting control, reframing the issue, reclaiming dominance through tone rather than substance. Colleagues sense the shift immediately. Meetings become cautious. Silence replaces contribution. Power dynamics amplify fragile defenses because power feels like safety. Those who feel internally unstable often cling most tightly to external authority. Evolutionary psychologists suggest dominance displays historically protected access to resources. Modern hierarchies still activate this circuitry. A public setting offers another snapshot. A stranger questions someone's opinion casually. The response escalates. Volume rises, certainty hardens. Bystanders feel the tension without understanding its source. The reaction seems out of proportion. That disproportion is the clue. Fragile ego behavior often seeks control over narrative. Correcting, interrupting, reframing, dismissing become tools to restore internal balance. The goal is not winning. The goal is relief. In group dynamics, these individuals may dominate conversation or withdraw entirely. Both serve the same function. One controls space, the other avoids exposure. Neither invites mutuality. A brief workplace moment, an idea is overlooked. The person later undermines the project subtly, reclaiming significance indirectly. The behavior feels strategic, but it is automatic. Carl Jung noted that what remains unconscious expresses itself as fate. Social consequences accumulate quietly. Relationships feel strained without obvious cause. People describe walking on eggshells. Trust erodes through unpredictability. Yet those exhibiting the behavior often feel misunderstood. Internally, they experience constant threat. They perceive others as aggressive or dismissive. Reality fragments along defensive lines. Importantly, these patterns are most visible in others because observing them externally feels safer. Recognition at a distance preserves self-image. Only later does discomfort arise when similar reactions surface internally. A moment of irritation feels oddly familiar. The body responds before explanation forms. Modern social life intensifies exposure. Constant interaction increases trigger frequency. Boundaries blur between personal and public selves. Small slights multiply. Status becomes quantifiable. The fragile system remains on alert. Some people will recognize this pattern most clearly in someone close. Others will sense it in themselves only fleetingly. Either way, the behavior does not exist in isolation. It is shaped by context. Modern environments reward certain expressions while punishing others. That reward structure quietly fuels what it pretends to condemn. Understanding that amplification requires looking beyond individual psychology. Modern life did not create these defenses, it optimized them. Technology accelerates threat detection while removing contextual grounding. The nervous system evolved for villages, not global audiences. Digital spaces compress judgment into constant visibility. Every reaction feels public. Every silence feels meaningful. A notification arrives late. Assumptions form instantly. Interpretation hardens without correction. The body reacts before nuance appears. Social platforms reward certainty, speed, and dominance of narrative. Complexity moves slowly. Defensiveness travels fast. A comment receives validation through metrics, likes accumulate. The brain registers safety through approval. Reinforcement strengthens behavior regardless of its cost. Behavioral scientist B.F. Skinner warned that reinforcement shapes action without awareness. The algorithm does not care about psychological health. It cares about engagement. Outrage engages efficiently. So does confidence without doubt. Fragile ego expressions often perform well online. They signal strength quickly. They discourage challenge. They simplify identity into position. A group chat escalates, tone misread, sarcasm taken literally, responses sharpen, resolution evaporates. No faces soften the exchange. The threat feels real. Cultural narratives further amplify this. Societies praising individualism often equate worth with visibility and success. Failure becomes exposure. Exposure becomes danger. The psyche responds accordingly. Work culture mirrors this dynamic. Performance metrics replace relational context. Evaluation feels constant. Self-presentation becomes survival. A performance review email triggers sleeplessness, rehearsed defenses, imagined accusations. The body prepares for combat where none exists. Public identity and private self drift apart. Maintaining the image requires energy. Fragility increases as maintenance costs rise. Another snapshot unfolds. Someone curates their online persona carefully, confidence projected, vulnerability edited out. The distance between projection and experience widens. Tension grows quietly. Modern incentives reward appearance over integration, certainty over curiosity, reaction over reflection. Evolutionary psychologists note that mismatched environments stress adaptive systems. What once protected now exhausts. The fragile ego remains hypervigilant. It scans continuously for threat signals embedded in tone, metrics, silence. This vigilance exacts hidden costs. Relationships feel transactional. Rest becomes difficult. Joy feels conditional. The system rarely powers down. A family gathering unfolds with phones present, conversations interrupted, attention fragmented, misattunement accumulates. Small misunderstandings stack without repair. Defensiveness fills the gaps. Modern anonymity also removes consequence cues. Social correction loses softness. Shame arrives without containment. The nervous system responds with armor. Cultural acceleration leaves little space for integration. There is no pause between stimulus and response. Fragile patterns thrive under speed. Stillness threatens exposure. So movement continues. Achievement replaces connection. Validation replaces safety. The cost is subtle but pervasive. Emotional range narrows. Empathy feels risky. Authenticity feels expensive. The system adapts again. What appears as toxicity is often exhaustion. A defense stretched beyond its design limits. The modern world does not punish fragile ego behavior consistently. It often rewards it briefly. Those rewards mask. Awareness begins without announcement, often as discomfort rather than insight. The familiar defenses start feeling heavy, slightly misaligned with present reality. Reactions still occur, but something watches them happen. That watching does not intervene. It simply notices. A moment unfolds during a disagreement. The usual surge rises. Words prepare themselves. Then a pause appears internally. The pause feels unstable. It offers no relief. The body still wants certainty. The mind still reaches for armor. Psychologist Carl Jung observed that bringing unconscious material to awareness does not resolve it. It unsettles it. The defense loses invisibility. It does not disappear. In daily life, this awareness feels awkward. Certainty no longer comforts fully. Dominance feels performative. Withdrawal feels transparent. The system senses itself. A social interaction ends. Tension lingers. Later reflection reveals how little the present moment mattered. The intensity came from elsewhere. This realization does not soothe. It complicates. The fragile ego depends on immediacy. Awareness introduces distance. Distance weakens urgency. Urgency resists that weakening. An internal friction develops. Another snapshot appears. Someone reacts sharply, then notices the reaction mid-flight. Embarrassment follows quietly. The old relief never arrives. Something has shifted. Awareness does not judge. It observes patterns repeating across contexts. Different faces, same sensation. Different triggers, same urgency. The narrative of being right loses its grip slightly. Not enough to dissolve it. Enough to expose it. This exposure creates unease rather than peace. Without the defense fully trusted, vulnerability feels closer. Vulnerability still feels dangerous. The psyche hovers between strategies. Neither feels safe. Modern language often frames awareness as empowerment. Psychologically, it is destabilization. The system was built for certainty, not clarity. Seeing the mechanism removes the illusion of control without offering replacement. A quiet loneliness can emerge here. Old roles feel hollow. New ones feel undefined. Relationships reflect this tension subtly. Others sense the shift without understanding it. Interactions feel less predictable. Silence becomes louder. The fragile ego cannot easily coexist with sustained self-observation. Yet observation does not dismantle it cleanly. The two circle each other. Evolutionary adaptations resist deactivation. They persist until the nervous system learns safety elsewhere. That learning is slow, often resisted, often incomplete. Awareness simply reveals the cost of constant defense. Energy spent maintaining image. Attention diverted toward threat detection. Connection sacrificed for control. This recognition does not arrive as a solution. It arrives as a question without words. What remains when the defense is seen but still needed? The answer does not form quickly. It lingers. Most people retreat before staying here long. Discomfort invites distraction. Certainty calls loudly. Yet once seen, the mechanism cannot fully disappear again. It shadows reactions quietly. It complicates certainty permanently. The fragile ego survives by remaining unquestioned. Awareness changes that condition, not by fixing it, by illuminating its presence. What happens next is not resolution. It is tension held consciously, a subtle, enduring unease. The sense that protection once necessary may no longer fit, and that realizing this changes everything, without telling what to do next.